Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for creating an online presence. In a world that's changing in ways we can't even anticipate, there's never been a better time to get into the world of online business, and Squarespace is your friend. If you're new to the world of websites and blogs, or like me, you're just really bad at that sort of thing, Squarespace will metaphorically hold your hand and whisper in your ear that it's all going to be okay. They guide you through the process of getting set up and offer you a range of user-friendly templates tailored to whatever you want to do, complete with previews to make things easy. But don't just take my word for it, no one should ever do that. Check out squarespace.com yourself for a free trial. If you're suitably impressed, visit squarespace.com/jagohazard to tell them I sent you and enter the coupon code JAGOHazard to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Now you've got your business set up, let's look at where other people do their business. I'm not exaggerating when I say that Canary Wharf is one of the most important stations in London. Or should I say, three of the most important stations. Canary Wharf is on the Isle of Dogs, in what was once the Docks of London. Like many of the exotically named places in the Docklands, it takes its name from the trade that operated from here. In this case, fruit imports from the Canary Islands, and particularly bananas. But during the second half of the 20th century, the docks began to fall out of favour, being unable to handle big container ships. In 1980, they closed altogether. So the abandoned Canary Wharf was set for the next phase of its existence, as London's new business district. The Docklands Light Railway was a central part of the regeneration of the area, and there was always going to be a station here, albeit it was going to be named Canary Quay. But there was a rethink very early on. Originally, the idea was that the regeneration of the Docklands would consist of light industry and housing, nothing too dense. But a consortium of banks approached the London Docklands Development Corporation with something rather more ambitious: a new financial district for London. The first edition of the Docklands Light Railway official handbook excitedly talks about buildings of up to 7 stories tall, which is somewhat under-ambitious. One Canada Square, the tallest and best-known building in Canary Wharf, is 50 stories high. It was clear that the original idea for a simple 2-platform station was going to be woefully inadequate. So a rethink was in order. While the rest of the railway opened in 1987, Canary Wharf Station was still under construction as a 6-platform station with an overall roof, which must make it the grandest station on the DLR. Oddly enough, before the station was completed, trains still stopped here. The original station had already been programmed into the driverless trains. A central element of the massive development was a direct transport link to the city, and so a new branch of the DLR was built to Bank Station. It opened in 1991, the same year that One Canada Square and Canary Wharf Station opened, the latter being partially built into the former. So that's the first station. Now let's talk about the second, the Jubilee Line station. Actually, this was planned long before the DLR. In the 1970s, before the Jubilee Line opened, there was a proposal known as the Fleet Line. Various routes for this were suggested, but one would have included a station called Millwall, which would have been roughly where Canary Wharf is now. This scheme was abandoned in favour of the DLR proposal. The Fleet Line became the Jubilee Line, and of course would eventually get here, but not until 1999 as part of the Jubilee Line extension. Canary Wharf was actually an essential part of getting the Jubilee Line extension built in the first place. The concept of extending the line through the docks, as I say, had been played with since the 1970s, but this grand new business district gave the scheme some impetus. Basically, in the early 90s, the UK was in a recession and Canary Wharf was struggling. Nobody was really willing to invest in transport projects. On the other hand, if the banks who owned Canary Wharf didn't find a way to make their development pay, they'd lose their shirts. So, reluctantly, they handed over £98 million towards the cost of construction, and so the extension could begin. The station here was going to be named Isle of Dogs, but Canary Wharf gets the point across about where the money's coming from. Canary Wharf Underground is visually deceptive. A couple of small entrances at street level lead into a cavernous space designed by Norman Foster and built to take 40 million passengers every year. It's one of the busiest stations on the network. It made a brief appearance in the Star Wars film Rogue One as an Imperial base, which isn't even the strangest thing I've seen on the Jubilee line. And soon there's going to be a third station. We hope. Crossrail has a station for Canary Wharf built into an artificial island, part of a development named Crossrail Place. Like the previous two stations, this was also going to have a different name. It was going to be Isle of Dogs, before good sense prevailed. Now, remember how I mentioned that the Underground line got postponed in favour of the DLR? Well, a bill for Crossrail was put forward to Parliament in 1991. But this was ultimately rejected in favour of the Jubilee line extension. So, these three stations are linked by more than just their locations. Of course, I could complicate matters even further by mentioning West India Quay, Heron Quays, Poplar and South Quay stations, which are all within walking distance of one or more of the Canary's Wharf. Some other time, perhaps. Hello all, I hope you enjoyed this bananas tale from the tube. If you did, then please do hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks as ever to my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. You are the glass roof to my 6 platforms. And I'll see you all again very soon for another tale from the tube.